I'm not unmuted. Make sure.
Come on, guy.
Drink my water. When I do edit the video, how am I gonna put the layout? You know,
Yeah.
like webcam. In any case, welcome to the first episode of the Cool Comic Show. My name is Damien, and with me is my co-host, Galactic Mr. E, aka Mr. E, aka E.
That's it? Well, no, you were right.
We're here to talk about any and all things comics, including the books, of course, movies, games, TV shows, industry news, super cool internet memes because we're young and hip.
Yes, we're both very much
Um,
Zoomers.
this is the first episode. We had talked about doing this when 2021 was ending. We kind of were pitching the idea around, and we were like, after the holidays, we'll get it all figured out. And then January happened, and January happened. But we finally came together. We put some topics together. I guess a little bit of intro or background about ourselves. So I started reading comics. I think the first comic I read was right after Batman Forever came out, which we'll talk about the detail later on of how that's it's still a top tier Batman movie for me. And Riddler, it made the Riddler my favorite villain. But after that movie, my dad took me, I forgot where we went. He bought me it was like some random store, and we got some random comic books. I don't even know. It was like you know how Batman has like 87 comics.
Yes,
so
true.
I got that, and that was the first one I read. I don't remember anything about that book or what it was.
Yeah.
Didn't read comics for a while, and then once like college came around and New 52, funny enough, actually was kind of coming out around 2011. That's when I started reading digital stuff. And then, honestly, in the last like 5 years, I've gotten really deep dived into like physical books and buying all those kind of shows and buying those kind of books and everything like that. So,
yeah.
Of course, with me, as you guys can see behind me, I do have a preference for DC Comics, but I do enjoy Marvel Comics. The indie third party stuff I enjoy as well. So that's a little bit of my background in comics. Galactic Mr. E, aka Mr. E, aka E.
Oh my gosh. I guess kind of a similar story, also not really. So yeah, exactly the same, exactly the same, but very much different. So I actually got my start on comics, funny enough, with Sonic.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, what better way to start,
The Archie Sonic comics.
Oh, I forgot Archie made those. That's true.
Yeah, that was my bread and butter. Growing up, we used to have a Books-A-Million close to my old house. And bro, at least I didn't say Blockbuster. Come on, guy. So I would go to Books-A-Million, and like I would just sit in their like comics and manga section. And
it's okay, you can say manga. No one's gonna be mad. No one's gonna be upset at you for saying that.
Sure, this is the internet. I know you're wrong. But I used to just chill out in Books-A-Million for hours, just reading like Sonic comics and the different comic books and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then eventually, I got away from Sonic, and I got away from like Cartoon Network used to have their line of comic books as well. So I got away from all that because I wasn't a child anymore. I was ready for young adult comics.
Well, you're like, I'm ready for the big
leagues. So funny enough, I actually started on this. It's not even like a real comic. So my dad used to be
hot take coming in from Mr. E here. What is not what does he consider not a real comic?
No. But it's actually like, I mean, I guess anyway. So my dad used to be in the military.
Okay.
And they have their like own type of commissary thing like on the base.
Yes.
And like at this place they sold like they were Marvel comics, but they were strictly like free Marvel / military comics. So it was just like these buddy superhero and military
Propaganda is what
men.
you were reading. It sounds like
Yes,
reading propaganda.
I was reading propaganda comic books at the ripe age of 11.
Nice.
Um, and so that's what kind of like leaned me in.
Yeah.
But then I started reading more DC, and DC is where my heart's at.
Hmm.
As Damien said, all you need to do is just take a look behind me.
Yeah.
We got Harley Quinn and Batman on the wall, and then
Yes.
the entirety of the Justice League. I do have a Marvel poster just like this
Yes,
Justice League
we are gonna
poster.
talk. We are gonna talk Marvel. We are gonna talk Marvel. We're
Yes,
not just gonna be DC. Everyone who's a Marvel fan
exactly.
immediately was like, "I'm fucking out of here. DC
Yeah,
sucks."
exactly. No,
We're
no, no,
talking
no,
about all
no.
comics here.
We are impartial. We just have an affinity for
Yes.
DC, but yeah, so that's how I got started. Also like you, I took a break from comics.
Yeah,
And
I
then
was
I
kind of the same
came
way
back.
too.
Yeah, I came back with the New 52. And right around that same time that the New 52 was releasing, Marvel was releasing Civil War 2.
Oh, that's
And
true.
so
Yeah, didn't people
yeah,
not like Civil War 2? I never read it, but I know people didn't
it
like it.
it was not bad, but it was not good.
Wasn't there something with
S
Captain Marvel or something weird happening? What? I don't remember exactly. I just
um,
heard about it.
yeah, I don't remember the exact details, but, I ended up getting a bunch of New 52, like, first issue comics, because this is also
Oh
when,
yeah.
like, a comic book store was, like, right up the road, and
Mhm.
so I just walk in there and spend my whole paycheck, um, because these $4 to $5 comic books really add up very
I was
fast.
the same. Like I said, I was in college. I had my first job, and that's all I spent money on.
Exactly. So now I just have a closet full of comic books.
Yeah,
But yeah, that's about the time I got back into it, and I haven't really stopped. I don't collect. I I want. I haven't really stopped collecting
it's
physical
just
copies.
yeah,
I just don't have a place to go to as of right
yeah.
now.
So did you read all
So
through New 52 and like with Rebirth and I guess to now? What's the era now? Is it
I
called? Is it Infinite Frontier era? Well, we'll talk about it in a second, but I know Rebirth
yeah.
obviously happened in 2016. They were like New 52. That didn't happen.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Rebirth was going on around the
Oh, it
time
was
that Civil
Rebirth.
War
Oh, okay, okay.
spoke earlier.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, I enjoyed Rebirth. Um I didn't read too much into it after a few months
yeah,
because of I was changing jobs and moving
yeah.
and all that back in the day as well.
Hmm.
It's just my life keeps repeating itself. But
I mean, aren't comics the same way? We just kind of go back over and over again. I mean, if you talk to any
and
fan
true.
in any internet forum, they say comics are running dry. In any case, that's what we're not here to talk about.
Yo, anyway.
uh, so that's a little bit of background on us. I guess some
Mhm.
expectations for this show. I mean, we have some things planned out, but we're not like we don't have like a script, written. But we're essentially here to have a fun show. We with us and every other comic book show that may be out there, we are here to talk about things we like. Um, Things we don't like, we're not necessarily going to talk about too much. Because we're not going to be a complaining type of show. We're not going to be like, I don't like this and I don't like this. I think for the most
Not
part,
here
because we
to
like pretty much anything. We don't really have.
true.
There's not too many things we don't like.
Exactly,
Um,
and we're not here to crap on anyone else's creativity and
yeah,
what they're creating, what they're putting out in the world. If it's not our cup of tea,
yeah.
we may say that, but we're not gonna dwell on it,
Well, I think
you
also
know?
too, it comes from understanding that everyone has different tastes, and so
Exactly.
there might be something I like that E doesn't like. There might be something he likes that I don't like. It just
Yeah.
we're here to
Damien's
talk
a
about stuff we have fun with.
Damien's a real big fan of the Aquaman cartoon on
Okay,
HBO
I
Max.
don't. Well, that's on our list of topics today. But if you want to get into it, how are you going to make an hour long anime? I mean, granted, to be fair, they did it with Invincible, but from what I've seen with that Aquaman show, there's just like nothing
You
happening.
know I can't speak on it. I haven't watched it,
You've
so,
watched the first 2 episodes, 3?
no, I think there's only 3
Oh,
episodes,
well,
and yeah.
I know nothing about it. But yeah,
Which
so
I'm
like,
sure you already knew since you're a super fan of
yes, I'm
that
a
show,
super
yeah.
fan. So, but yeah, what my hope is, and I know E has similar sentiments, is we want to make this show accessible to anyone. So whether you're like someone brand new and have, maybe you've only seen movies or TV shows or you know nothing about comics, Or maybe if you're like some super nerd where you're like, actually, Batman has multiple Batcaves, so actually, that's our
It's
first segment
tunnel.
of the show. This is Nerd Fact of the Day.
This show is
It's
actually
not.
called Well Actually
It's not a.
Comic Book Edition.
That's not a real segment. It's fake.
Oh, never mind. I lied.
But yes, we want to make the show accessible. Okay, that's.
All right, yo.
We want to make this show
Yes, the
accessible
show
to
will be behind a
anybody.
paywall. $5.99 a month.
But yes, we want to make it accessible to anyone. We don't want someone to come to the show and like, I don't know anything about comics, because there'll be some stuff we talk about where someone's like, who's this character and who's that character and what's this? And there's some ideas that I have of if we talk about something that's maybe like an obscure reference, I'll like put like something on screen for you guys to kind of know what the fuck we're talking about. So that's kind of our idea. As you guys can tell from this intro, it's kind of a mess. We're gonna be all over the place, jumping around, but we do have a list of topics we do want to talk about.
True.
The first thing, well, we put some of these, like I said, we started talking about this a month or so ago, and there's been a lot of news that has come out since the end of last year. Some great news, some why did this happen news. I guess we could talk about the big news that is happening in the next couple weeks. Actually, in the next week or so, is the Batman.
We got not this Friday, but next Friday.
Unless you're cool like me and you got an early screening pass for IMAX. Thanks, IMAX.
Cool.
This is not sponsored.
Like him, where an IMAX theater is actually close to you and not across town. It's cool though. I'm not bitter about it. Like I'll watch it Friday. Fine.
So did you end up getting tickets for Friday? No.
Next question.
All right. Well, I'm gonna go watch the Batman on March 1st. They put up a announcement. I want to say maybe 2 weeks ago. They were like, "Hey, get an early screening pass." Which is fun. Like, funny enough, my IMAX theater I normally go to, they were already a cheap theater. It's an AMC, but like for regular movie prices, they were charging like $5 for regular. So IMAX they're only charging 10, and most places IMAX charging 20. But for whatever reason, they were like, "Hey, we're charging 20 per ticket for this." So
well, look, when I went to go, well, I never went to go see Spider-Man. When we attempted to go see Spider-Man,
yet?
No, I sure have not, because the way my life has gone these past few months. When I was supposed to go see it, I got
with that
sick.
news. This is the final episode of the Cool Comic Show because he has not seen Spider-Man yet. So
no spoilers, everyone.
oh my god!
Like and subscribe. Do not
almost
leave
the end of February. It's been 2 months.
Look, it's all at this point. I just need to wait for it to come out on demand. It'll be here soon.
That's not on our list of topics, but I don't know if you saw that news recently. I think they said it's coming to like HBO
it's going
Max.
To Stars.
Oh, Stars. Yeah, it's coming to Stars. Isn't that weird?
Because
Does Sony have like a deal with them?
Yeah, they got a deal with Stars, which I can't remember if it ended last year, but like, yeah, pull up the actual deal because I don't know what I don't know what I'm talking about right now. But like, I feel like this is like the last movie that's going to Stars first instead of Disney Plus or something like that. Because of the way Sony had their contracts.
Yeah. So the article says, according to a report from Deadline on Starz streaming plans for the year, it was noted that the hugely popular comic book film would be landing on Starz sometime over the next 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says one platform that fans will likely be hoping to see No Way Home land on is Disney Plus, but it's unclear if or when that will happen. So I think all those subscription services you have, you better boot up your Starz Plus or whatever they're calling it, because
I think they said realistically it won't be on Disney Plus until possibly 2024.
I would be surprised if it was even like by then. I feel like with something, because Sony has so many deals in place with so many different things, and I know obviously right before this, or not right before, but when this movie was in production or pre-production, there was a whole falling out between Sony and Disney, and they were like, Sony's like, I'm taking my toys and going home. No one can play with Spider-Man anymore. So, I mean, who knows what the plans are going to be for Sony over the next 2 years? I mean, we got the cool Morbius movie coming out soon.
Well, I mean, like, Sony and Marvel, I don't know what they're doing, but if rumors are true about the things going on in Multiverse of Madness,
yeah,
we may see You know,
Remember there was a whole thing. I think I never watched Venom 2. I never watched either Venom movie, but I saw the post credit scene for Venom 2, and there was a post credits where Eddie Brock gets transported to the MCU, right? And he like sees Spider-Man on TV,
mhm.
and then nothing really came out of it in Spider-Man No Way Home. He got
Oh, I
he,
mean,
he got teleported back.
wait, he got teleported back at
Well,
the.
I just forgot you haven't seen it, but I mean, it's
Not
not
with the
really good.
spoilers.
I mean, listen, the movie's been out for 2 months. Okay, that's on you.
That's
It's been
wild.
out for 2 months. Long
Oh,
story
and I
short,
haven't gotten any spoilers in that 2 months. That's
that's not even
crazy.
as. Anyways, long story short, Sony is like. I mean, we could talk. We could have a whole conversation about Sony, but and I have a certain feeling about people that want Disney to buy Sony, which is a bad idea. They should not buy Sony. But Sony has this weird like, at least from obviously us as fans, we obviously can't see behind the scenes unless we're talking about that old Sony email hack, which is. But Sony just has the thing where it seems like they feel like they are the reason why the Spider-Man movies are doing well now, you know?
True. Mm.
And so now making these other random movies like Morbius, like who wanted a Morbius movie, you know?
Zero people. Zero
Anyways, going
people.
back to our initial topic of the Batman trailer.
Yo, how did we get so
I
off
don't
topic so
know.
fast? That was a wild ride.
I'm gonna
Oh
go
yeah,
watch
because I
Batman
haven't.
next Tuesday. That's true. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
watching Batman
That's
next Tuesday. I'm probably
yeah.
gonna go
So
watch it again that weekend because I feel like, especially obviously pandemic, watching
mhm.
movies like opening weekend, I kind of got this feeling with when I went to watch Spider Man. It's a different. It just hits different, you know.
Yeah.
People jumping up, people flashing to everyone, you know, in the theater. It gets crazy.
What was going on in your theater?
So I'm gonna go.
And by people, do you mean yourself or?
So Batman comes out next Tuesday. I'm gonna go
Oh,
watch it.
all right.
I'll probably watch it Saturday. We'll definitely talk about it whenever the next
Yeah,
episode of the show gets recorded,
yeah.
assuming that Galactic
We'll talk.
Mr. E
Yeah, yeah,
can
yeah.
get
We'll talk
tickets to
about
go watch.
Batman after I see it in the theaters. So, like, in a few months, episode 2 will drop.
I guess we did kind of breeze past it, but yes, with the frequency and I guess length of this show, we want to try to
Mhm,
keep it around 30, 35 minutes. Some maybe a little bit shorter, some maybe a little
yeah,
bit longer.
mhm,
Um, I think right now we didn't necessarily have a plan for frequency. Right now, our plan isn't to do weekly because I feel like there's not enough news to do a weekly kind of show, and
correct.
you'll start talking about nothing. You start talking about
Yeah,
a 2 month old movie that someone hasn't seen for 10 minutes.
yeah.
Um, so
Okay.
we're not gonna do we're not gonna do weekly. We're not gonna do monthly because I feel like monthly's too long. So we'll figure
Mhm,
out somewhere in between and kind of get that going. But
yeah.
yeah, I mean, the only Batman trailer I've seen is from DC Fandom. I haven't seen any other ones because Batman, well, one, the Riddler is my favorite villain.
Yeah.
And going back to what I mentioned at the beginning, when I watched Batman Forever as a kid and Jim Carrey as the Riddler, I understand that movie is very campy and it's very cheesy. But as
True.
what was I, 4 or 5 years old when it came out? Um, Jim Carrey I liked as an actor, and so watching him as a Riddler, I was like, I love the Riddler. Riddler's my favorite character and favorite villain. And
Yeah.
so over the years, as I became more knowledgeable about DC comics and characters, the
Mhm.
way that DC promotes Batman and pushes Batman and has so much for him, it's kind of like if you're interested in DC comics by default, you're kind of already a Batman fan. And so
True. You gotta be.
yeah,
That's the only one in the spotlight.
yeah. So I'm very excited for this movie. I saw the DC Phantom trailer. I was like, yep, I'm in. That's all I needed. And
Yeah.
I've seen like random clips here and there on the internet doing its thing, but I
Yeah.
haven't watched. I guess there was a brand new one that came out recently that E has seen.
Yes. And like I said, it was a lot of the same clips. They were just longer. And there's also a fan theory about there's this new character that's not in the comic books, but she's seen in a lot of the trailers.
Really?
Their name is Bella Real. And there's some
In the
fan
trailer?
theory. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
She's running for mayor. Um,
Oh.
and you can see some of her like campaign ads splattered throughout the trailers.
What if
Um,
in the movie they come out, she's like, my real name is Bella Dent, and my uncle is
Yo, but there are like I said, the fan theories are that she is a known villain in the Batman universe. Now, I won't
Interesting.
say too much because I know you're trying to,
Yeah.
stay away from fan theories and,
Mhm.
spoilers going into the movie.
Is it a
Um,
newer character or an older character that they're saying that she is?
I cannot answer that for you, okay? we will
What do
we
you
will talk more about the fan theories on episode 2 after you've
like? Is
seen
it
the movie.
is it a 70-year-old character or is it a 7-month-old character?
I don't know, dog. I don't read comics for
All
real.
right. All right.
But we'll talk more about the fan theories after you've actually watched the movie. Because if it turns out to be true, I feel like that's an interesting take. Um,
I
and
feel like we'll have to record a specific episode for the
yeah,
Batman. Like not necessarily a
honestly,
review because I'm not a big fan of reviewing stuff because I feel like when you have to put a score on something, it kind of you go into something like already trying to evaluate it. I feel like we could
yeah,
record something like this is what our reaction, I guess, is to this and how we like it and
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So that will be coming in 3 months after I see the movie.
I'm gonna
So
record that by myself if you don't watch it in the
oh,
first
that's
at the minimum at the not minimum at the longest 2 weeks after release, if not 1 week.
I cannot commit to that. All right.
I'm gonna
So
buy you a ticket right now.
but I'm excited for the Batman movie as well. And I know that they're going to be pulling things. I don't know if it's going to be loosely based or if it's going to, follow comics.
Well, there's
Because you
already
never know with
it
these
seems to be
directors.
influenced at least by Long Halloween, at least some aspects of it.
But there's talks of it hitting on Long Halloween. There's talks of Batman First Year, and also aspects of Hush as well.
Yeah,
And Hush is such a good Batman
it's really really
story.
good.
So even if they hit on that loosely, I feel like this is going to be a phenomenal movie, especially with how much they are hyping up the Riddler.
Yeah,
Um,
this Riddler's gonna be sick, and I mean,
yeah,
with the Arkham series too, like it put Riddler on a whole different level for me, because before
mhm,
Arkham, I mean, even still now, Riddler was joked on a lot of like he's just a wannabe Joker or he's like a C-list Batman villain. I think Riddler is obviously very A tier for me, and
I
for the
believe so too.
Arkham series, for those who haven't played it, the Riddler in that series, he basically is like Jigsaw from the Saw movies.
Mm,
He sets up these traps so you have to go in. They're very elaborate and they're essentially death traps, and you have to do a bunch of riddle solving to get through them. And so playing through that series, I was like, oh, the Riddler is, of course, number one for me. The way that he can be used, or the way that he can be shown if used in the right way. And so with
mhm,
this Riddler now in this movie, it seems like they're kind of leaning into him still being like a serial killer, like
mm.
Jigsaw kind of way. I mean, from the fandom trailer, there was that shot where that person like drives through the funeral and they come out and like the Riddler put like a bomb on their chest and they have like for the Batman thing on there. So like this Riddler seems to be pretty crazy and I'm all into that. I think it's gonna be really, really cool.
Yeah, and there are other aspects of the trailer where going back to the Riddler and the things he's doing in these trailers, like leaving these messages and whatnot.
Yeah.
One of the messages is sins of the father, and so I think the movie is also going to hit on kind of Martha and Thomas Wayne's legacy,
Hmm.
which I don't feel like a lot of Batman titles really go into. Like they paint them as these martyrs that got, you
Yeah.
know, banged up in an alley, and then Batman, became Batman, and that's all you hear about their parents. But like we know that Gotham is this seedy place. Like we know that Gotham is just like the worst of the worst.
Hmm.
And for Martha and Thomas to be kind of the head of this city, their hands could not have been clean. So I think, at least I hope that the movie kind of delves into that a little bit, kind of like pulling back a layer of because I feel like it would add more to Batman's story because we see these Batman movies over and over and over
Yeah.
again. And so I feel like that would add an extra layer, something we haven't really seen before.
Hmm.
Another traumatic, backstep in Batman's life and why
Hmm.
he does the things he does.
You
So that's what I'm hoping about the movie.
did you ever play the Batman Telltale games?
No, I did not.
So I mean, it's a good game. If you haven't played it, everyone should go play
Mhm.
it. In that series, I mean, you've played Telltale games before, right? You know how they work and everything.
I know how they work, yeah.
So in that series, without getting into too much spoiler, in case anyone does want to go play it, they it was one of the first times, at least that I had seen. I hadn't seen it before in any other comics or movies or TV
Mhm.
shows where they do dive into that of like,
Nice.
were the Waynes really clean?
Gotcha.
Um, I mean, in Long Halloween, they kind of talk about it as well in the comic, but not too much.
Yeah, they
But
don't and that's the thing, like,
because they talk about
there
how
are
Thomas helped Falcone when he came in, and his dad brought him in when he was injured and stuff like that. But the
Yeah.
Telltale games definitely do dive into were the Waynes really these shining beacon in Gotham? You know,
Mhm. Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to that. I might have to pick up those games as
you
well,
should. Which makes
because
me
I've
now
always
that I
wanted
just
to.
thought about it, and I haven't read Court of Owls pretty much since it came out, and I don't remember a
Yeah.
lot about it. But do you know if in Court of Owls was it referenced at all that the Waynes were part of the court when they were alive, or no?
I can't remember. I think they do reference it, but I can't remember
Because I think that'd be cool.
in what.
I would assume they were, and that'd be a
Mhm.
cool idea to think about. Like the Waynes were in the Court of Owls, and then you know,
Speaking of the Court of Owls, the Batgirl, I know this isn't one of our topics, but, here we go getting off
no,
topic
that's
again.
it.
The Batgirl movie that's coming out on HBO Max,
Oh, that's right. We had that as list
there
topic before. We didn't curate it though.
we did not, but there I was looking at some of the, set photos that have come out, and there's, like,
Yes.
this magazine stand, and, one of the magazines
Didn't it? I think
is
I know what you're talking about.
talking about, the Court of Owls, but, like,
Oh, I didn't
former
see that.
circus star, and so it's alluding to both Dick Grayson and the
At the
Court of
court. I didn't
Owls.
see that. You know what I saw
Yeah,
this past week from Batgirl? It was a newspaper and it said Lex Luthor in prison, whatever, but they spelled Luthor wrong. They put Luther.
yeah. Oh, no,
So
but I
like,
didn't.
I mean, it's a small thing, but it's just like, come on, like,
Yeah, right. But I didn't read that one, but
yeah.
I did see a reference to it in what I was looking at earlier.
Hmm.
Um, so apparently, there's talks that, the Flash movie, also not on our list of list of
Let's just
topics.
say this now. This first episode is probably going to be longer than 35 minutes, because
Probably.
this is obviously the first one, and there's been a lot of news that have come out even in the last month. But once we get to second, third, fourth episode, they'll be more streamlined. So there's just a lot of information happening right now.